The city was wrapped in a warm golden sunset, but the sky carried a different mood, dark clouds gathering slowly, hiding the light one shade at a time. People rushed along the streets, unaware that two strangers were about to crash into each other's lives and change their destinies forever. Because some stories don't begin with love at first sight. Some begin with accidents and rain. Aarav Meera had always been the calm, composed type, a young architect who lived in precise lines and measured angles. But that evening, even he wasn't himself. With deadlines piling up and emotions he never showed anyone, he sped through the rain-dampened road on his motorcycle. On the opposite side, Meera pedaled her bicycle with earphones stuffed deep in her ears. A freelance illustrator who lived more in her drawings than in the real world, she was so lost in her sketch ideas that she didn't notice the traffic thickening. A car braked suddenly. Aarav instinctively swerved. Meera turned at the exact same moment. There was a sharp, chaotic collision, metal, brakes, and a startled gasp. Meera fell, clutching her wrist, pain shooting up her arm. Aarav jumped off his bike immediately, his voice panicked. He apologized. She blamed him. He offered help. She resisted. He insisted. She finally agreed. The strangers' first meeting was messy, loud, embarrassing, and yet, something about it lingered. The faint antiseptic smell filled the small clinic as Meera sat with a bandaged wrist while Aarav waited outside, guilt flooding every corner of his expression. When she finally walked out, he stood up instantly, like he had been waiting for that moment alone. He offered to drop her home. She hesitated, but her injury left her no choice. And so they rode through the quiet night, rain falling softly around them. Their small talk came naturally, unexpectedly natural. She told him she was a struggling illustrator. He told her he was an exhausted architect. She made sarcastic jokes. He laughed more freely than he had in weeks. Two strangers, connected by accident, now connected by something more subtle, something unexpected. Outside Meera's apartment, she thanked him, still awkward but undeniably warmed by his presence. Aarav, hopeful, asked if he could make it up to her someday. Maybe over coffee. She didn't say yes. But she didn't say no either. After she went inside, Aarav turned to leave. But a shadow moved near the gate. A tall figure stepped out. Aniket Malhotra, Meera's ex-fiancé. His eyes were cold, piercing in that dangerous way that instantly frightened her. He demanded to know who Aarav was. Meera's voice shook as she told him it wasn't his business. But he stepped closer, anger simmering beneath the surface. You vanished. You stopped answering my calls. Meera, this is not over. His words hit her like a memory she wished she could erase. Aarav, from a distance, noticed something wrong. But Meera forced a smile and waved him off. He left, unaware of the storm waiting behind her door. Aarav lived alone in a clean, minimal apartment. Everything in place, everything structured, except his thoughts. He couldn't stop thinking about Meera. About the way she smiled despite being in pain. About the small doodle he found stuck to his bag. A fragile drawing from her sketchbook, a city under rainfall. It mesmerized him. Who was this woman who appeared in his life with chaos and left behind art? He traced the edges of the drawing with his thumb and whispered to himself, "Who are you, Meera?" Meanwhile, Meera sat on her bed, wrist throbbing, the room dim except for a small lamp. Her mind wasn't on the accident anymore. It was on Aniket, on the fear he brought back with just one conversation. She remembered the arguments, the manipulation, the controlling behavior disguised as love. The engagement she had broken but never truly escaped from. She locked the windows, checked the door twice. Her hands trembled. She wasn't ready for anything new. Not love, not friendships, not even kindness. Not when she still carried scars no one could see. Her phone buzzed. Aarav's message. Reached home safely. Just 4 simple words. But her chest warmed. Her lips curved into a small, reluctant smile. For the first time in a long time, someone cared without wanting control. The next morning, life played another trick. As Meera walked to her favorite cafe, still nursing her wrist, She saw Aarav standing there with a cup of coffee in hand. He stared back, equally surprised. They both laughed, soft, shy, natural. They ended up sharing a table, doodling on tissues, exchanging stories over steaming cups. Their hands brushed. The eye contact lingered longer than it should have. Aarav thought to himself. Why does she feel so familiar? Meera thought. I shouldn't let this get complicated, but why does his presence feel safe? Later that day, they ended up at a park bench, talking about everything and nothing. He adjusted her bicycle handles carefully, like her pain mattered. She joked about his reckless driving. He teased her about her drawings. He looked at her like she wasn't invisible anymore. Aarav watched her laugh, her hair blowing gently in the wind. Something shifted inside him, something warm, gentle, confusing. You're something else, he whispered without meaning to. She looked up, startled. He covered it with a smile. But Meera had heard it. And she felt it. Deep inside, where she hadn't allowed anything to bloom in years. That night, Aarav dropped her home again. He asked if they could meet the next day. Meera hesitated, not because she didn't want to, but because she was terrified of wanting to. She walked in without giving him a clear answer. As the door shut behind her, the camera moves to the staircase, and there he was. Aniket. Hidden in the shadows. Watching. Listening. Waiting. His eyes were filled with something darker than love. If I can't have you, he whispered to the empty hallway, no one will. Outside, thunder rumbled. Rain began to fall again. A storm was coming. End of part 1. Like, share and subscribe for more such stories. Stay tuned to Silk and Shadows.